Hello everyone, it's Mickey, and I am going to be turning pink cartoon animals into humans. What I've done is I've got a list of famous pink characters that we all know and love. What I'm going to do is put them all on a wheel and spin it twice, and whatever two characters it gives me, we're going to turn into people. Now, a lot of notable characters are missing, and I have an explanation for that. I am only going to redesign ones that I'm familiar with, like their media and personality. Another note is that my voice sounds disgusting because I am partially sick, and that's okay. Just ignore that. I also chose characters that I've seen very few redesigns of, or like human designs, but like with like Pinkie Pie. How many times have you seen her as a human? A couple. Now, we are going to spin the wheel and see what happens. Are you ready? I am. Pink Panther. Dang it. I've got to draw this guy? Crap. I mean, really whiz dang. I just hate that this has happened. Alright, Pink Panther. What can I say? Hear me out. I watched a lot of Pink Panther growing up. It released in 1969 and ran for 10 seasons, so I took the noble choice to search up 70s fashion for inspiration. Obviously, the 70s relied heavily on colors and shapes. In the background of Pink Panther, it's awful clear what decade he's in. Also discovered some mighty interesting information when I began to look for facial inspiration. You don't need a magnifying glass to notice that Pink Panther is more a slim rather than a Heimlich. He's a very thin animal, and we love that for him, right? So when I was looking for a real thin guy, I realized that the humanized version of Pink Panther I pictured in my mind looks an awful lot like this fellow. Now, whoever doesn't know who this guy is, this is David Bowie, and I was like, oh, that's just, he's done my job for me. Pink Panther is now a human. I mean, it's pretty much exactly what I pictured when I pictured Pink Panther as a real dude. I mean, look at this. You telling me Pink Panther wouldn't wear this in pink? I don't think so. Yeah, David Bowie was big in the 70s and 80s, so I took a lot of inspiration from him as far as anatomical things go. He's obviously, I don't know a better word for it besides cheeky, but that sounds like it's the wrong.
Impudent.
Yeah, that'll work. Impudent. An impudent guy. He doesn't really care about anybody else. He's kind of living his own pink life, and that's great. Honestly, why not, you know? I really enjoyed drawing him. I took some freckles on his face to signify his whiskers, because I had considered giving him like a light facial hair situation, but I tried it and it didn't work. Maybe it was the way I was doing it, but I didn't think it fit the rest of the clean picture I had given him everywhere else. I didn't think that it didn't make sense. So I gave him pink freckles instead. I also gave him a very long scarf to replace his tail. I considered giving him a long belt, but again, it didn't work as well. I want to say it was the obvious replacement for a tail would be a belt, but it didn't work. And also, I just think the scarf makes sense for him. He looks like he would wear a very long, luxurious scarf. For the color, I was very concerned about the different shades of pink, but I think it turned out pretty good. For the pose, I just used this picture. That's why his hand is behind his back. And I was like, nice, I don't have to draw a hand. And I think that's what this artist did too. I thought about the fact that he is mute in the cartoon, but rewatching it, I actually figured out that there are a couple times that he talks, and
I wonder if Donald Trump has days like this.
It's unsettling, I would say. I don't think I would imagine him to talk like that, but he does. So, I don't know. But I thought about the fact that he was mute, because maybe that could play into his design somehow, but it doesn't. And he does talk sometimes. So his head shape is kind of weird, because on the one hand, he is a very slim figure. So I was thinking, his head should be slim and tall too, right? To match his body. But his head, obviously, he's a cat. His facial structure is much different. I didn't want to ruin that, so I gave him a thin face, right? But his head on his character is a hamburger, so I gave him a pretty squished head. But he has a very defined face because he has to. His eyes are also yellow in the cartoon, which I didn't realize. I made them a little yellow. You can see they're not entirely the yellow he has. For the headshot, I found another picture. There are a lot of, if you search Pink Panther on Pinterest, you will get several pictures of him shrugging with the coffee mug in his hands. I wanted to give him that nonchalant look, his facial expression with the coffee mug, because that's just an important staple, I would say. Makes him way more relatable. Who doesn't like coffee? He's pretty tired. He's a pretty burnout guy. I mean, what can you blame him? He's always got something going on. Poor fellow. He's either trying to become a pilot or in the hospital. I mean, he leads a rough life. So for his headshot, I gave him a pretty tired expression. He's drinking his coffee. It's the morning. And I decided to give him pajamas that I had seen him wear. Honestly, I think it turned out pretty darn good. I like this one. It translates pretty well. I think overall it looks like Pink Panther. Alright, back to the mystery wheel. Who do we have? Stella. Yay! So, Angry Birds hit peak in 2011, I believe. That's when I am remembering it, and I also looked it up. There are a lot of things to go off of here. For fashion, 2010 fashion was honestly pretty wild. Not gonna lie at all. I'm thinking of Disney Channel. Very eclectic, colorful, lots of pattern, layers. But one thing I very specifically remember was a hair feather. So I immediately gave her a hair feather because obviously she's a bird. I gotta say, I don't know a ton about Stella as a character. They did make the Angry Bird movies, which they gave the birds personalities. The Angry Birds movies were alright. I won't say they were most incredible, but I did enjoy them. But Stella's not a main character, so obviously I still don't know a lot about her personality. I do remember when I was growing up playing the game that there were Angry Birds tunes. And I remember her and her friends, they had a band, but that is as far as I know about her, as far as like interests and personality goes. So I did add that. I didn't even make sure, but she has a microphone. And I'm thinking she's just the singer, right? And not she doesn't have an instrument. Even though none of them have hands. None of them have hands. I don't know. I did take a little more inspiration from her original round circle bird shape instead of her movie shape. I made a lot of outfit variations for her when I was doing like a little plan page, but I didn't decide on one. I don't know why I did that. I didn't decide on one. I kind of went into this piece blind, and I didn't even think about the pink color. Don't ask. Don't ask. I just don't ask. So I struggled a lot with this one. The color is like I don't know. And I gave her a little pixie emo haircut thingy that had the 3 prongs, I guess. I don't know. Represented the 3 feathers on her head. I mean, she's singing. I honestly don't like this one. I don't like how it ended. I don't like how it turned out. But I was kind of... I didn't see a way to make it better. I think I should have planned it better. It's not the worst. It's definitely not the worst, but it's just, I'm not very proud of it, and I don't think it really looks like her unless I put a picture of her right next to it. It's not the worst. It's not the worst, but I don't love it. Here are the 2 pink cartoon animal human designs. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's about it. I gotta get better at the intro and the outro thing. I'll see you next time.